What up, watch peeps? I think Dagaz was the first place I ever bought mod parts from, even before Yaboki's. I was a big time customer of his back in my heyday of commercial modding. But Jake also sells complete watches and they are really good. He had a Willard homage called the Typhoon way before Steeldive or any of these other guys were hip to it. Well, I have one of his latest watches here today, so let's take a look. I'm Pete and we are chilling with watches. First check, I am wearing the Van Banner Parking Master. Man, I still absolutely love this watch. I love the way it wears. I love the way it looks. I love everything about it. But let's check out this Dagaz. So I really like these plastic cases. They kind of have that pelican case look to them. They're not waterproof or anything, but even the insides and the padding have that kind of pelican case feel to it. But check out that asymmetrical goodness of the Dagaz Cav. So these asymmetric cases, they're kind of hard to quantify because I'm never sure exactly where to take a measurement on their size. But if you go from 2 to 8, they're about 41.5-ish. Color-wise, these do have multiple dial layouts. There are some Type 1s, which is kind of more like a dive-style bezel. Some of them have a Dagaz logo or a shield on them. Those look actually super cool. What I have here is the Type 2, which is just basically a field watch layout. And even the ladder hands you'll see here on this model, those come, I think some models have black ones, some have these all gloss white ones. I really like these gloss white and the way they add some chunkiness to the hands. Price-wise, these are $450, and that is shipped anywhere in the world. So these are basically an homage to those Benris asymmetrically cased military watches that was popular in Vietnam, I believe. Marathon, also notable for making watches like this in the Navigator line. Now, Benris has recently reissued these in stainless steel cases, but they're going for well over $1,000. And honestly, these are probably the best value, maybe even the best overall quality stainless steel case versions of this style of watch available. The Type 1 has a dive style dial. I'll pop a picture of that up there. This Type 2 is a field watch dial layout, just all black white. There's no branding on it. And combined with those all white ladder hands, for me, that's just a total military look. It's very high legibility, no frills. Even has a matte black dial. I love the stark black and white look of these. Sorry for the reflections. It has a very large sapphire, very large dome sapphire on that. It's creating all sorts of reflections. Now, the previous versions of these had a glossy bezel, but these new ones have a matte bezel, which is fully loomed, and I think that's a really nice upgrade. It goes well with the overall look, the matte case, the matte dial. These cases are great. They wear smaller than their numbers due to the asymmetry. You'll see they have a kind of really nice uniform curve to the entire top of the watch, or the mid case. There's also really nice turn down to the lugs, which are drilled. Now these look like fixed bars, but they're actually not. They're spring bars. You can remove them. You'll see it also has this really nice, smooth, curved case back, which I think kind of mimics the curve that you find on the top of the case. Just all really smooth feel where it comes in contact with your wrist. Of course, it all has a very fine bead blast, or maybe even sandblast to the whole thing, which leaves a nice, dark, matte finish that just screams military or tool watch style. The crown on these is sick. There are like 4 gaskets in there, I think, and you can even see here, if I pop that crown out, some of the gaskets in there. It is rated to 200 meters of water resistant. Plenty of threads, screws down really nice. The bezel action on these is legit. It is crazy solid. There is zero play. It's very clicky. Kind of reminds me of a Helson, if you are familiar with those or if you've ever handled one. It's great. Now the bezel is loomed, as is everything on the dial. And, you know, honestly, even the strap it comes with is better than you'd expect. It is branded somewhere on there. And it is even sandblasted or bead blasted to match the case. Now, these are available with any 15 movements. This one I have here has an NH35. So let's throw this thing on the Timegrapher and see how it's running. The accuracy on this thing is fantastic. +5, very consistent +5 until I start talking, of course. That's great for an NH35. 262, very standard for a Seiko movement. And the beat error, a little higher than we'd like to see, but I don't think that's going to have any performance on how this thing is running. For an NH35, this thing's running fantastic. Here it is on a cheapest Nato straps, ribbed Nato. These things are like $8. Super cool looking straps. I just wanted to give you what it would look like on another strap. Now, going over the dimensions, it comes in at, like I said, 41.5 at the case, but it was only 39.2 at the bezel. Lug to lug comes in at 47.2 millimeters. It comes in at 15.6 millimeters thick. I know that sounds thick, but a lot of that is that huge domed sapphire crystal there. And it has a 20 millimeter lug width. Again, yes, giant domed sapphire crystal. It is using BGW9 Loom everywhere, running the NH35 movement, and has 200 meters of water resistance. On the provided OEM strap, it came in at 90 grams even. Let's take a look at it on wrist. And here's how it wears on my 7¼ inch wrist. This again is on an AliExpress version of those ribbed Natos, which are, like $5. Just want to give you as many strap looks as you can see, because this thing is quite a strap monster. But it wears great. Does it sit kind of high with a Nato? Yeah, but if you look at the shape of this watch, it just really contours really well. I wouldn't say it feels tall on wrist at all. All right, let's take a look at it side by side, some other watches. First up, here it is alongside my MWC Royal Navy Diver. I think these two kind of fall in the same family of military tool watches. It's just a really nice comparison. I think the MWC probably wears a little larger, but they both kind of have that same look and feel to them. Next up, I have my Woolbrook Skin Diver, which is a 40 millimeter watch that wears like a 40, so I think that's kind of a nice benchmark to compare this to. These two probably also wear pretty similar. The Dagaz wearing slightly larger because it's just a little more substantial of a watch, but the bigger dial here and the bigger case on this kind of cancel each other out. Lastly, I have the SKX007 for that kind of comparison. Now, the overall case dimensions on the SKX is about 1 millimeter larger than this case, including that asymmetrical part. Dial openings are actually probably the same or very similar. So I would say that the Dagaz probably wears slightly smaller than an SKX007, but not by a whole lot. All right, lastly, let's check out that BGW9 Loom.
Keep the Loom.
And check that baby out. This is a really nice application of Loom on this thing. Normally I like C3, but I think the stark white color of the BGW9 on this watch was a great choice. And looks like it has plain super luminova on those dots outside the number, giving you a really cool kind of two-tone Loom effect. And of course that Loom bezel, always a treat. If you are into field watches or military style watches, one of these asymmetrically cased bad boys should be somewhere high up on your list. And as far as build quality to cost ratio goes, I don't think this Dagaz Cav can be beat. Jake did a great job with them, so go check them out. All right, before I let you go, sneaker check. Wear my suede pooms, and that's it. I'm out. If it's not too much trouble, please like, subscribe, and come back next time. Peace.